live.
Whoa.
Almost
that's a
positive
good
that's not my end.
Wow, the music does not like it today.
Do you want me to run things?
Yeah, do you want to run Studio King?
Yep,
As we
I'm already
reboot
logged
this
in.
podcast?
This
is great.
Yes.
I just need you to stop.
Yep, I'm out. Go ahead.
This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Power Tank, Warren, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 271. Wildfire preparation.
Tonight, Jeremy breathes in some funny smoke. Aaron goes to level 1. Coy outdoes him and goes to level 2. And then kicks people out of their homes.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, about everything off-road. Cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben, and tonight I'm here with my co-hosts, Aaron and Jeremy, along with our returning guest, Coy.
Did you guys count how many Bens were talking there for a moment? Was that 4 or 5 Bens?
It was a lot of
all
Ben.
All of them.
All of the Bens?
All of the
People-
Bens.
You just can't win with it tonight, huh?
That was quite the echo. I didn't know if you were using your soundboard at a rave between the last podcast we did and now, or what?
I feel like that must be what it was.
I feel like he's been had his CB out, doing some trucking or something, had the echo going. Maybe at a convoy.
Well,
So,
well, go ahead.
I was just going to start off with Aaron.
Oh, all right. Well, what I've been up to, guys, I worked on my first aid kit actually a whole bunch over the weekend. My wife went out of town Thursday afternoon, and she just got home a couple hours ago. It's Monday right now while we're recording. So however many days that is, she was gone for at least 4 days. So yeah, I got a bunch of stuff done around the house, worked on my truck first aid kit. It's not complete yet. I still got to buy some supplies. I gave a shout out to Skinny Medic this morning in an email. I got to talk to him some more. And then after that, I'll be working on building my IFAC to be something legit rather than just a bag crammed with supplies. And then I got to do some shooting on Saturday. Shot the 6.5 Creedmoor and did some fun drills with the pistol and in 9 and the AR. It's a good time. Anybody else get to do any shooting?
No.
I did, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Oh, that's what you've been up to.
Oh, yeah, I've just been breathing all this Traeger air, as I call it, just dark,
Traeger.
Hickory, pine, fir. It's been nice. So I'm pretty sure my lungs are ruined, but no, I got to do some shooting. My brother came over. He shoots Steel Challenge and wanted to try my SIG 365 XL, and then we were trying to judge out where 100 yards would be and what my holdover would be, because I want to be able to hit something at 100 yards for literally no good reason.
Oh,
why not?
You got a good reason coming up in 2 weeks.
Well, I mean that's the reason, but I don't know that that's a good reason.
Are you taking a pistol to that?
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Well, I'll bring a rifle as well.
Oh, okay, fine.
I mean, as I understood, there is a 100-yard pistol competition, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do 100, 200, and 400 with rifles, and then we'll do 100-yard with pistols for fun.
I'm trying to decide on the SIG 365 XL, if the 9mm, or just a 1911 So my 1911, I've decided it's about a 17-inch holdover.
You gotta
So
really
it's
arch those ones in there.
Well, 17 inches really isn't that bad. I mean, just the target, and then 1.5 feet. And so I mean,
It's a good drop.
it's not it's not horrible.
Need to pick up like an FN 57 before then.
I've been
right?
looking at that Remington or Ruger 5.7 for a while.
Yeah.
There you go.
My brother
So-
has the FN one. I should just borrow it.
Yeah, that's what you should do. But you got to shoot it first. Otherwise,
that's
you'll
the-
probably be
that's
shooting randomly.
Yeah, that's why I'm probably going to bring a 45. So when I lose, obviously, I can just be like, well, I had a 45 AZB. This rounds 100. The ballistics like a tracked rainbow. Just start and lots of excuses. If I come and lose with a 5.7, like people are going to be like, hey, what's up?
But with the 45, the bullet holes will be so big that they'll be closer together, even though the same distance apart. They'll just look closer because the size of the holes from the bullets just look so massive.
I think that works both ways, though. Like when we put the tape measure on it,
No, it
they'll
doesn't
also
change- it
be
doesn't
farther
change.
apart.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. No, you measure from the center, but yeah,
No,
I guess
you get
that-
you can
that's
get
the
like
other
a
thing.
compass out and draw
Yes.
circles. And
So,
Uh,
Coy, to kind of go off of your saying that it was so dark at your house, I heard today that the air in our area, if you breathed it for all day, it would be like smoking 25 packs of cigarettes.
20,
I wonder what-
25 packs.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Oh, see,
I don't know
I
what
was told it was like smoking a pack of cigarettes.
Oh, well, I don't
But-
know. I don't. I
what
could.
was your what was your air quality number up there, Jeremy?
I don't know. I never even checked. This is
Oh, okay.
secondhand information.
Do you have an iPhone?
I do have an iPhone.
Pop up your local weather. Mine, when you pop it up, it says the temperature, and then it says air quality hazardous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours is just very unhealthy.
Yeah,
Dense smoky advisory.
Way to go, Android.
yeah. Mine just says hazardous, which I think is bad.
Maybe. Speaking of hazardous, Ben, what have you been up to?
Well, so last week we were talking about the wind might knock out our power or whatever. Well, it knocked out my power after we recorded, so that was fun. I went all the way till Wednesday without power. I want to say maybe it was
From Monday
Tuesday.
night. From Monday night to a day and a half.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. It really messed it up because I could hardly work on my floors. So yeah, that sucked. And then I had to go do SAR stuff. That was fun. More about that later. Outside of that, it's just been working around the house. It's been go. Catching up on that honeydew list so that I can go do other stuff off road.
How many more rooms do you have to finish with flooring?
Flooring is all done. I just have
Oh,
trim
nice.
and heaters to install. I have to
I
paint the
thought
trim.
I thought you had someone else doing the trim.
Nope, I'm doing the trim.
He just said he was doing all the trim because I told him to pull the trim boards. Don't even try to
Huh.
do it without doing that.
Yeah,
Well, do you want it done right, or do you want to do it?
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Well, so because of it doing my floors, there's a few spots where my gaps are a little bigger. So yeah, we needed to definitely upgrade our trim.
You better hope that board covers it.
Oh no, I checked my biggest gap and the board covers it. I pulled out my power tank and was using my power tank to power my my stapler or my brad nail gun.
Nice.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
please don't tell me you were stapling your floors.
No, no.
How many brad nails are stuck in the ground under your house right now?
No.
You break a water line or something?
It scares the crap out of me. It's like, all right,
Yeah, they
what's
call
in-
it-
nothing.
They call it a power tank for a reason.
Yeah. Watch out for those corners. I put a nail through my finger once doing trim boards at my mom's house. Which
Holding it from the backside and you shot through your finger.
No, so I was doing the trim boards, and so I'm coming up to the corner, and so the corner's like here. For those people who are watching on YouTube, I'm holding up my right hand. I put my left hand on the trim board and shot the nail gun towards away from my left hand. Somehow it hit the corner piece, the little metal piece in the drywall, caught the right grain and came back out through my finger. And I had no idea how that happened.
Sounds like fun.
Sometimes they can ricochet inside of the wood also without even hitting the metal trim.
So you had a Brad like bone walk and then come out and go through your finger?
Pretty much, yeah. It was no longer in my finger, but you could see the hole through my nail. So it went all the way through my finger. The shock of me pulling away pulled it out. But yeah, that hurt like heck.
Your fingernail stopped it, unfortunately, on the wrong side.
No, it went all the way through.
Oh, it went through your nail also.
Yeah, so it came through the pad of my finger and came out the nail. There was a hole in the nail.
I would say words. Lots of words.
I'd like to seen that one.
Yeah. It sucked, man. Man, that sucked.
Yeah. Well, speaking of sucking, Jeremy, what have you been up to?
Oh God.
That was a good lead in.
That was a good lead in. That was even better than my whatever one I used for Ben. I really haven't been up to anything 4x4. I did put a new brake on my 6.5 Creedmoor, getting ready for my suppressors to finally be out of ATF jail. I mean, the ones I lost in a boating accident already.
I was going through my safe because I emptied it all out last week. And when I was putting stuff back away, I was like, how come this suppressor box is so heavy? And I open it up and it has like a quick detach mount in it. It's like a 2-piece mount. One thread's on the barrel and one thread's on the suppressor. So you can take it on and off quickly. And I was like, well, I forgot it came with that. And I was like, wow, this thing's pretty cool. But I'm like, it is so heavy. It's like, it's got to be almost a pound worth of weight just for this one item. I'm like, not putting it on. I'm just going to direct thread it.
Yep, that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
I got one. So my rifle can is the QD mount. So, for better or for worse, that's what I've got. I guess I could probably get a replacement back piece to just be threaded, but we'll see how I like the QD.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
So Coy, one of our sponsors sells this thing. It's really, really cool. You're going to love it. You're just going to love it.
Tell me about it.
They sell patches. Unfortunately, they don't turn into a pocket, but they're patches.
What's the point?
Well, they go on your headliner. That's
the
what
thing,
That's what overlanders do. You're
Or
not
behind
cool if you don't.
bench.
Yeah, you can deck out your podcast room with them. You got a little sneaker there, Jeremy. So Jeremy's holding up the September patch of the month. Can you pronounce the espresso thing, that Starbucks coffee line that it says under there, Jeremy?
Let's let Coy do it this time. I embarrassed myself last time.
Die Presso Liber.
That's how you say it.
Yeah. Coy took 17 years of Latin, I think.
You screwed that up. You literally just you just read it as it says.
Well, sometimes you put too much effort into it, thinking it's got to sound a different way, and it just comes out really wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where my lack of education actually helps in this case.
Hooked on Phonics worked for you?
Yeah. It just sounded it out.
Yeah.
I actually have a really good patch idea for these guys for next month. You know how in every good movie, at some point they scream "Make it rain" and they just start firing down range.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
They already have a "Make it rain" patch. It was a patch of the month patch, and it was a minigun. Somehow
I-
we lost
I
Koi.
think Koi froze, or he's doing a really good
He's
impression.
doing a really good job holding himself still. Yeah. I wonder if his
Anyway,
kids got online and
what-
are watching a Netflix movie.
Yeah, probably. My favorite thing about this month's patch is that they finally used some glow in the dark material.
So
so
I
it's
think
legit glow in the dark this time.
Yeah,
yes. I thought they
Nice.
had
I haven't checked
I thought
mine
they
yet.
had one that was glow in the dark before. I thought those like 2 or 3 headed wolf was glow in the dark.
I don't know. I didn't get that one.
I didn't either.
There-
Yeah.
So I think where Aaron is going with this is there was a mention of patch of the month that was supposed to be glow in the dark, and then it didn't end up being because they didn't use the right dye.
No, I don't
Look
think
that
that it
one.
was ever supposed to. I don't think it was supposed to be glow in the dark. I think that they just dropped the ball on it, but I'd have to confirm that with Ryan. I don't think that it was supposed to. Yeah.
Oh,
Great patches.
coming back.
We love them. Let him in. Let that Koi boy in. Hey, there's Koi.
I don't know what happened. Anyways, I had a good idea for Make It Rain patch, but apparently it's not a thing. It's already been done, so don't make
Well,
it.
it's not that it's not a thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
that
been
it's
done.
already a thing.
My idea involved forest fires, though, so I feel like it's a better tie-in.
Yeah.
The news is brought to you by Power Tank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
Hey guys, have you heard something that's not Bronco news lately?
Nope. That's why we got Bronco news.
Well, actually, the first story we have here is Hummer teasing crab mode for the new electric Hummer. That's supposed to be, they're talking October 20th, releasing full details on that.
Yep.
Yeah. So they
it was
they
supposed to be
show a
May.
video of it.
Really, all that crab modes means is it's getting rear steer.
Yep.
And I assume it gets the full rear steer treatment where they can turn the same way that the front tires, or they can turn opposite of the front tires.
Yes, I believe that is accurate.
Yeah. It'd be silly if it wasn't.
But
It's
a
I bet it would be. I bet it's gonna be a little bit helpful with because Hummers are kind of big on the trail, so rear steer can definitely help you if you're overly large.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Um,
driven rear steer before?
I have not had the opportunity.
I mean, just like a forklift or anything that
Yeah,
has rear
Okay.
steer.
I have driven a forklift, yes.
So just, we all know the second somebody busts out rear steer on the trail, if they're a noob, they're running that back end straight into a tree. Like, it's not going to help. They're going to, crunch.
wrong way.
Hey, check this new button thing. Watch what this thing does. Wham!
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of like, I can get in this parking spot.
Yeah.
The-
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I'm sure we'll get lots of good videos on YouTube for that.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the video? I haven't watched it. It's a real video, not a computer rendition of what tank or crab steer will be like.
No.
Well, it has a video of it in this article where it shows it turn all the tires in one direction, and it drives at a diagonal. It's not completely perpendicular to the direction of travel.
Yeah.
It just goes at a diagonal.
I wonder if they're going to do a tank steer like the Rivian.
I don't think they turn well.
Well, the tank
I
steer
guess-
is more with the motors. If there's 4 independent motors, than it is.
Yeah, if there's 4 independent motors, you could do that. There was a Jeep. There was a Jeep concept probably 6 or 8 years ago called the Hurricane, and it had independent steer at each corner. So it wasn't just rear steer, but like you could tow in at the front and tow out at the rear, so it could rotate in its axis.
So you could tell if the car was happy or sad and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the Cars movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the add-on to the Grumper Bumper.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
there's
enough about
yeah,
crap.
crab mode. Yeah, we'll hear more in October. We got another month. They'll reveal the whole thing. We'll see if they get as many people sign up. I bet you they'll probably do like pre-orders like the Bronco did. We'll see if they get as many people signing up for that.
I'm sure. The next article here is the Bronco will not get a V8, at least not right now.
Oh, that's so terrible.
I know.
So not from Ford.
Not from Ford. Yeah, not from the factory.
Yeah.
So
and we know whose fault this is. It's all California.
well, yeah.
California.
Hashtag true. So as Ben was alluding to, it's because it just doesn't get enough fuel economy. So they just aren't going to put it in because they got to make sure that the line as a whole has a certain fuel economy, and they don't want the V8 dragging it down. Ford has argued that the EcoBoost V6 is a better engine and it satisfies the motorists and the regulators. Personally, I don't like the turbo lag that the V6 or that the EcoBoost has, but I know a lot of people swear by it.
Yeah, I was doing some reading up on it, and what it is it's by vehicle size. So it's not Ford as a whole company; it's by vehicle size. So how short the wheelbase is in the Bronco, it does not make the CO2 federal regulations between footprint size based on that, which really sucks because it needs better fuel economy to be, or it needs to be a little bit longer for it to be able to fit a V8. Even though it's got the engine bay space to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Hennessy turn around and do one quickly.
Do you know how
Or
much
it'll be
bigger?
like
Do you know how much bigger it needs to be?
I'd assume probably about the length of an F-150. I don't know
Because I
what
mean,
the wheelbase is for.
I don't know if it's like square footage underneath it, but you know, the Raptors are what 8 inches wider than an F-150. So I mean,
Yeah.
if we see the
I-
whatever the Raptor version is, get the rear axle stretched out an inch and a half and be 6 inches wider, we'll know why.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that. I've never heard that before. Everything I understood was that it's from the cafe regulations, and whatever you get in all of your vehicles, it's for your overall standing. So if you sold a whole bunch of micro cars that got super good fuel economy, it makes up for your gas guzzlers on your other end of the spectrum. And that's why companies like Austin Martin came out with the whatever that little tiny Toyota IQ based car was, and other big companies are coming out with little tiny cars to help make up for the fuel economy. And
well,
then
I guess that
also
would make sense, like the
also
F-350,
some of the
250 and all that.
also some of the companies do so good with all of their fuel economy, they can sell their credits and other people can buy them. So Ferrari can buy credits from Toyota to make up for their gas guzzling cars. It's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's all about the environment, but don't worry, you can buy these credits from somebody else so you don't have to make your cars extra fuel economy.
So you can buy carbon credits from somebody who's not using as many.
Correct. Yep.
So I could start my own car company, and if I just sell one car that gets 4,000 miles to the gallon, then I could sell a ton of carbon credit. Like we could build a fake business around this, basically, just selling carbon credits.
We'll open a car company and it'll be Flintstones cars.
It also has to do with the quantity of cars you produce. So if you only sold one car, you don't get very many credits out of one car. So it has
how many
to do with
Flintstones cars can we make? We can make a few at least.
Yeah. What I think is a problem here is Ford stopped selling all of their cars. They're not selling cars anymore. They got rid of the Festiva and the Focus, and I think the only and the Taurus. I think all they have left is the Mustang as a car. They went to all crossovers and trucks.
which that
Yeah,
doesn't
they
help.
knocked a ton of their models because they were all very similar.
Aaron, fact check. I still see like the Ford Fusion,
Huh.
the Ford
Maybe.
EcoSport.
Yeah, they knocked out a bunch of models because they were all so similar. They knocked it down. I want to say they had like 10, and they got rid of like 4 models of
I
car.
thought that they were getting rid of all of their sedans, is what.
I think they are phasing them out, but I don't know that they're gone yet. And you know,
Okay.
I mean, Ram trucks. Ram is its own brand now, so all they sell is trucks. So I mean, they got to be doing better than them, I would think.
Well, maybe they're under the umbrella of FCA.
I bet they are. I bet they can consider themselves. I bet it's not brand specific. I bet it's company specific. Well, especially if you can sell your credits to somebody else. You just
I don't even
other brands.
know how that's going to work because doesn't Ford own like 32% of Mazda or something? Too? Like, I mean, there's got to be a bunch of sharing and back scratching going on with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I know this isn't car talk, but I just Googled about Ford's, and it says this article says Ford to stop selling every car in North America but the Mustang and Focus Active. So the Focus Active must be a hybrid or electric car. So
By when?
this article is 2 years old. It's from 2018. And I'm trying to scan it really quick. There's lots of words here.
Aaron's arch nemesis rival. Words.
Words. Yeah.
No, that's Ben.
It says by 2020.
Well, they still have 2020 model years, or they still have the
Fusion.
I mean, Cape
the
kind of looks
Mustang.
like a car.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It was the first article I clicked on, but that, I mean, clearly if you aren't selling cars, you aren't going to get as good as fuel economy average for your whole company, but whatevs. Like I said, we're not car talk.
You know, I was thinking.
Tell us what you're thinking.
Oh, I was just thinking when the new Bronco comes out, we should, as a group, the 4 of us rent one and then put like 37s on it with a really high offset so they stick out a bunch, and then make our own fake digi camo stuff and then just drive it around like we're testing it, and people will lose their minds, be like, what? It's 7 feet wide, and just, we'll put a giant fake scoop on it and camo it out and just make sure we drive past people with cameras so that they think Ford's coming out with something new.
What if you were able to find... What if you were able to get something that was a solid axle on the front even, and you went through and you painted everything fresh, clean, gloss black? You just buy a car, and then you just cardboard mock up all the fenders, and then you drape this camo over it so it has all the right shape. And then you do what you're talking about. Yeah,
that'd be good too.
Tires. You could totally fake people out with some spy photos. Or you could take your own pictures and sell them to people.
Yeah,
there may be some legal things with that. I wonder if I could buy. Can you buy King's reservoirs with just like the braided hose, but that don't go to, and just have like quad reservoirs, up in each fender, and just have them just running back somewhere?
I'm sure you could just print some stickers to get some vinyl.
Yeah, I mean,
just wrap them around some Monroes.
I got some old toilet paper rolls, and we'll make some reservoirs and just run some braided brake line out of them. Well, this could be fun, and then we take it to the gambler.
Yes.
What Coy's alluding to here is our next article is about spy shots for the Bronco Raptor. And it has apparently been spotted on some public roads. I don't recognize this road, so it's nowhere around here.
Nobody needs to know
that. So it says the track width is way wider. It says at least an inch or two wider than with the stock flares. And it says it's girthier down low. And I don't know what they're getting at with the word girthier, other than it says that it's got a bigger rear axle and heavily gusseted suspension brackets. So they might just be throwing words to get some extra words in so they can complete their assignment and have all 500 words in for their teacher. I'm not sure.
No, this article's only about 100 words, so
Yeah, they
maybe
met
they
the
have
bare minimum.
That's usually how these spy photo articles go, is that there just isn't much to go off of. A lot of it's guessing. But yeah, we'll see. It doesn't really talk about much more in here. They still don't know if they're going to call it the Bronco or not. I'm sorry, the Raptor or not. Yeah, we'll see.
So we got some feedback this week
Oh,
via
boy.
YouTube. Has to do with Ben and his $500 scooter. And Killian Fisher says on YouTube, that Ben guy has no idea how to start a scooter. You don't just kick, those carbs like some gas as well. Also, as someone else said, it wasn't the scooter's fault. It's probably sucking up all that darn water. Lol.
Yeah, it was sucking
Yeah.
up a lot of water, and that's why I was kicking it so much. And adding fuel. Trust me, that was I was giving it lots of gas, but it's all good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has anything with the gas, giving it gas there. I know like my carbureted dirt bike does not like gas when you're trying to start it. I'm not sure about those scooters, but yeah, fact check true on that. Picking up all that water.
Yes.
I've noticed
much have you
Ben is not the kind of guy that doesn't not give it gas. Like at any point in time, there's not like, well, too much.
Especially when
That's
there's
true.
water involved.
Especially when there's the water.
Like at any time.
Yeah, well, Koi's been behind or in front of me enough off-road to see me not give it gas, right?
I thought you were Captain Slow on this trip, weren't you?
No.
You were talking about getting somebody else on the slow team.
Oh, you were on the slow team for a little bit. You hung back with Rick, and then Koi hung back with Rick. Everybody but me hung back with Rick.
Mine was forced, to be fair. But
Yes. No, I know it was.
Well, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I guess at the start of the trip, I was in the back, because I was like, okay, I'll run tail, and then everybody was getting dusted out, and then slowly I worked my way up front. Well, not all the way up front, because somebody likes to speed.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Boy, you invite somebody on the show and they just like open their water and cough in the middle of an ad read.
Oh my goodness!
Well,
did that mess it all up? I tried to get away from it.
That cough is a really good segue to our main topic. All the smoke.
I'm not sure.
Smoke inhalation.
Yeah. How much smoke inhalation? All the smoke?
According to you earlier, 25 packs a day.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I'd like.
Yeah, but they're cools though, so it's like a menthol thing. Actually clears you up. Yeah. They didn't say, and we're not talking about Lucky Strikes here.
Today was kind of humid, so that's more like a hookah thing. Hookah. You don't know what hookah is?
Oh, I know what hookah is. It's silly.
No idea what a hookah is.
Think like the Middle East. You got those big water bong pipes.
With
Well,
like
quite
No,
fish
no,
for
I know what.
is.
Yeah, I know what they are. We have like bars here where you go to
Yeah,
suck on other people's hookahs.
that doesn't sound good for COVID.
Nope. Yeah. Well, before we derail our main topic too much, we're talking about what to do when a wildfire's headed your way. So, three, three, 3 out of 4 of us got to experience some wildfire scenarios this past week. It was pretty surreal.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Why don't we start with you, Ben? Because I feel like it flared up literally up in your area before anywhere else.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So, Monday night we were recording, and I was concerned about losing power because of the wind. We got some strong easterly winds that roll or westerly winds. I don't know. It was very windy, not normally windy this time of year, and so the wind rolled in, and I went outside, and I was like, "Man, it smells really smoky. Like, is there a forest fire nearby?" And everyone's like, "Oh no, it's the wind blowing from the east, and it's blowing the smoke from over the mountains." Well, actually, it turns out some uh, power lines went down and started a fire on the hill just down the street from my house. I was probably 3 miles away from it, and the fire is now 85% contained as of tonight. But it was pretty nuts. The first night it was kind of calm. I want to say it started about 5:30. From what I got from the police officer I was talking to, who was one of the first on scene when I was talking to him. Um, so fire flared up, whole hill caught caught on fire. But it's a very steep hill with very rough terrain that you can't really get a firefighter down. Um, so it was kind of hard to fight, and it's a tinderbox out there, super dry. So it just spread really fast. Overall, I think we lost 4 structures, which is pretty small. And overall, the size of the fire is not huge, but it's the terrain it's in. It's really slowed it down and contained it. Um, so Tuesday night, I was driving home. My wife and kids went to my in-laws' house because it was affecting school for them. So they went to there. I went to go grab the generator because I lost power, and then I got dispatched on a search and rescue mission to help evacuate people that had already been told to evacuate, and also patrol the neighborhoods, the 2 big neighborhoods that had been evacuated. Basically, I was there. I couldn't force someone to leave, but I was like, "Hey, there's an evacuation. Did you hear about it?" Because apparently not everyone did. Um, and then to make sure people weren't looking around or pillaging people's possessions. So yeah, and then I got to hang out and watch trees catch fire. It was pretty cool because I'm on the top of the hill. And you can literally look down and you see a tree, and when it catches fire, the pine needles all ignite like a giant match. And so it'd be like, oh, there goes a tree, and there goes another tree. It was really surreal. Um, and then convincing people to leave their houses was pretty interesting too. Elderly guy, like all he wants to do is take out his trash, and his daughter's there yelling at him to evacuate. And I'm like, sir, you realize that all it takes is one of those embers flying in the sky there to come down and land in your yard, and your house is on fire and you're trapped because you haven't packed anything. Like you really suggest that you leave. Oh, okay, I guess so.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was out till 2 o'clock. Went to bed, and then went to work the next morning,
Oof.
and then yeah, and then did it again the next night. So that was fun. Or no, I only did the search and rescue one night, but I was up late the next night too, and then I finally got power back. So yeah, that was fun.
Well, Coy, you had it hit before it came my direction. Tell us about your experience with the fire before we go over our thoughts here.
So Monday, Monday, I actually had a bunch of had an excavator at my house. I was doing a bunch of work, and Monday night I was kind of finishing up, and I'd got the weather alert that said we're going to have the high winds and the fire is going to grow and all that. All of a sudden, just like a fog bank rolling in, just dark, kind of brown smoke just rolls through across the fields at my house, and you could smell the wood, like it smelled like fire, and I kind of just, the fire's going to go crazy. We had, from where I live, just 10 miles east of Salem, up the canyon, Gates, Detroit, Mill City, all those towns up there. They called it, I think it was Beachy Creek Fire had been going up there for a couple weeks. I think a lightning strike got that one. Not 100% sure how that originally started, but it was a smallish fire. And then we had these crazy dry winds, and it went berserk. And I just kind of hung around at the house, and I actually got a SAR call out, but I was supposed to work the next day, and I was like, I can't do it. And then a buddy of mine calls me in the middle of the night. It's like, we need chainsaws. Like, we need guys. It's going nuts. So I went down and spent the night there. And we ended up doing some evacuations. Just pull up to somebody's house, bang on the door, yelling, search and rescue, evacuation, praying that they don't shoot you, because we were kind of in the woods doing it. And, let them know that there's a fire coming. And from this point forward, if they call 911, no one's coming for them. But, so we did that.
So hard to do. Like, hey, if you don't evacuate like we're telling you to, fire's not going to come.
So with us, we had to ask how many people were in the house, or how many occupants, and if they're planning on staying or going. And then off those questions, then we'd let them know that there wouldn't be any more help. And then we'd ask them if they needed assistance in case they had, somebody that was in a hospital bed, or, on hospice care, elderly, stuff like that. But that went really smooth. We got our evacuations done. And that next morning I was at the command center, and it was like 8:00, and I was like, man, it is really dark out still. And a buddy of mine there sends me a picture, and it was in Salem, and it was 8:00 in the morning, like you would think it is. But I mean, it was still completely dark out. And then I live about 5 miles from where the command center was, and it stayed dark pretty much all day. And it was weird. You could look out and see the edge of the big cloud that was moving out of the canyon. There's just this bright light on the edge of it that looked like a fire coming towards you, but that was actually just where it was daytime. And yeah, and then I've had some on and off SAR call outs. Where I live, it got elevated to a level 2, which is you need to be ready to go. So we packed everything that we we're going to bring and left everything else to burn. And my wife actually went and stayed at an evacuation site with her mom and dad, because they got level 3'd, and she just was nervous and was afraid she wouldn't wake up or something. So then I just kind of guarded the house and did SAR work, and was actually kind of boring, to be honest. It wasn't as cool as I thought it'd be.
Right? Did you get to watch any of the fire?
I did not see a single spot of fire.
And you send me pictures, and it was like red outside.
That would have been, I can't remember if that was Tuesday or Wednesday. It was straight up I can't even explain. It looks like I was using a filter on my phone, like I was holding up a red lens. But I mean, it was completely red outside, and actually kind of messed with you, because you're just not, like, you almost feel like you're out of balance after you're just walking around out in that red for a while. It just kind of messed with your head a little bit. It was really spooky looking, but I mean, like a Mars picture, just that red, dusty fog. It was really weird.
Yeah, the worst it got from my house is it was like yellow, like an amber yellow out.
How close did the fire get to your house, Coy?
I'm not 100% sure. I think about 20 miles, 15, 20 miles about, but I don't know where the fire ended. But the last town that kind of burned down to was Mahama. it burned some buildings there. I don't know how bad that town got hit and how the trees were, but I know there was fire there, and I haven't Googled it. That's 15, 20 miles from my house, not far. And the evacuation line's 5 miles from my house where they level 3'd it. And from that point, that's where you kind of, it stops being woods and you're just getting into the farm fields. So the fire kind of stopped there and headed north and south. And it went all the way north and then connected with, I can't remember the name of that fire either, but it's the one that was threatening Malala and Oregon City and that. So now it's kind of all one big fire.
Yeah. Well, for me, we didn't really have much to worry about in the beginning. I was super worried about Coy and his co-host Andy and their friends and family down there. And then Tuesday we got I think it was Tuesday morning we woke up and found out that there was a fire 5 miles from us, and it started with the wind knocking a power line down. And it was a small fire. It was only like 10 acres, 5 to 10 acres at the very beginning. Overall, it grew to just over 100. It took a couple days to get to 100 acres, but the problem, just like Ben was talking about, is super rough terrain that they couldn't get. There's just no access to the area and stuff like that. And we just watch it creep closer and closer towards us. They did level 3 the homes that were halfway between us and the fire. So about 2 miles from us, they evacuated houses.
Hey, Ben, just so in case people don't know, you want to explain the 3 levels of evacuation?
I'm
Or
really
Aaron?
terrible at this.
Oh,
Uh,
well,
Yeah,
I'll
so
interrupt
level-
then, and okay,
Yeah,
Aaron, go ahead.
Yep, I know it. Yeah, so level 1 is get ready, level 2 is get set, and level 3 is go. So when you hear level 3, that means you need to be leaving at this moment. Someone tells you level 3, you need to be hauling out of the house. So level 1 is what I was. I never went higher than level 1. So level 1 was get ready, prepare yourself. Level 2 is I hope you're prepared, because you can get a phone call at any minute or a knock on the door at any minute, and that means leave immediately. It doesn't mean leave in 20 minutes after you finish packing something up. It means you need to leave right now.
which is funny, like hearing how close you guys were versus how close I was to the fire. And I'm trying to pull up the road right now. I was like 2 miles away, 3 miles away, and you guys were a lot closer. Here we go. It's being
Uh,
slow.
I wasn't really.
We were farther. So I was
Or
5 miles
farther.
from the fire. Yeah.
And,
I was
and you
quite a
guys
bit farther.
and you guys got higher levels than I did. Yet I'm.
I wonder though if it has to do with the terrain and where the fire's at and what kind of things are between you and the fire, like a highway and things like that.
Yes. So I was 2.5 miles away from the evacuation zone, and that's driving straight line. What was it? 2 miles away. So I was 2 miles away from the evacuation line. But it does have to do with terrain, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of houses in between me and there.
So and I think like the actual speed it's moving or growing at is a pretty big part of where they do it, because I
Yeah.
mean the Beachy Creek fire moved. I mean, you can't quote me on this, but I'm just kind of guessing, doing some math in my head. I'm guessing it moved 25 miles overnight, like through towns, and just
Mhm.
burned down this canyon at least 25 miles in 6-7 hours. Be my guess. It could have been more.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot has to do with the wind directions too and
Yeah.
the forecast.
Correct. Yeah. And we'll talk about that here in a minute, but the wind was blowing from the fire directly to my house the entire time the fire was happening, which was my biggest concern. So,
So
well, yeah,
without getting into the next part of our topic, what did you do at your house? Did you set off sprinklers, or you burn a fire line, or plow around it, or anything?
So, what I did was I pre-planned what I could do. I called somebody and said, "Hey, can I store my camp trailer at your house?" They're like, "No problem." And then I packed up all of my Second Amendment things, everything in my gun room, all my guns, all my bullets, my tannerite, all the things of value, packed them up, hauled them to my mom's house where it was safe, and kept them there. It's probably the most valuable group of things that I have. And then I knew that I'd have time to come back and then start packing up things of lesser value that were easier to replace. This whole time, my wife had been packing up. She's planning to leave to go to her mom's house for the weekend anyways, and I said, well, pack extra in case we gotta go. You'll just go there a couple days early. So she was packing the kids up already, packing up all of her stuff, the dog stuff. So yeah. And then when I got back from unloading all my stuff, I started to pack up clothes for me, shoes. I brought home from work my 3M um, P100 full face mask. So in case I needed to be able to breathe through anything bad, I'd have that. I packed up a chainsaw and made sure my batteries are topped off for that, and just some like rescue equipment in case whatever. You just don't know. I don't know how to plan for that. And then we also packed up all of our hard drives and our laptops and things like that, stuff that has all the family pictures on it, and grabbed some photo albums. And so all that stuff was packed up. The kids' piggy banks, all the big dollars. So yeah, that's what we
sad.
packed up.
It's sad. I think about what I packed up, and I just grabbed all of our important documents that are in a file folder already, along with my trust. I'm like, here you go, babe. Here's all the important information, and that's all I packed up, minus my SAR gear. All my truck gear was all packed and ready to go, and I had a bag of extra clothes. And the kids and wife were gone already, so it was, well, the rest can burn.
I really, I mean, I walked around the house. I'm like, well, all this can be replaced. I don't need to take the time to pack all this stuff up. It doesn't really matter. It's fine.
Yeah,
It can be
it's
replaced.
very interesting to hear some of the different perspectives, because you and I have similar perspectives on it. It's like, well, that can all be replaced. The important documents, the pictures, those can't. But
Yeah.
uh, if it burns, it burns.
I had a
I
I
won't.
I had a similar thing. My wife did pack something that I didn't think of that I liked. She packed the titles to our vehicles
Mhm.
in as part
Yeah.
of our documents, which I would have never thought of, but it's good on her.
Yeah. Yeah. We have just a bunch of paperwork in our safe. So when the safe was getting got into, that whole slab of paperwork came out, which also had our will and things like that in there. So yeah, birth certificates, passports, social security cards, all that jazz. Um, yeah. Well, let's kind of go through. I know we're an off-road podcast, so some of this isn't going to be off-road related, but it it can affect anybody. So I think it's just a good topic to talk about, but we'll try to tie it into some rig stuff as well here. So one thing that I had my wife do while I was at work that day and then I helped out with when I got home was we walked around the house, walked around the property, walked around the outbuildings, and we just took slow video, um, pointing it at everything in our house or in the garage or in the barn, just so we know what we had, so that if we had to file an insurance claim, we wouldn't have to completely go from memory. You guys do that at all?
I did that in my shop. I took a panorama and then I walked through and just kind of took pictures. Kind of worked my way through.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've got an SD card that has pictures of like rooms and what's in them. Um, Not super detailed, but it's kind of a, we keep it at my in-laws, and I update it every now and then. I'll just grab it and come home, take a bunch more pictures, just in case we lose stuff in the house, fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about it, I you're replacing all your stuff, and you're like, all right, I have what tent and what tools do I have? It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of hard I mean, for us, that's important things. Whereas my wife's like, yeah, um, where's what clothes do I have? What shoes? Purses. Children. They're
Well,
like, well, what about my Switch?
it's even harder too if you lost everything in a fire. You're going to be completely stressed out, and trying to recount everything to the insurance company and think about that stuff. That's going to be a big struggle. So yeah, it
And
definitely helps to document.
that's a good tie-in for your vehicle as well. I generally try to take pictures of what gear I have in the rig, and you're in an accident and you lose your rig. There you go. There's how you can it, claim it in insurance. Is, oh well, I had my worn winch on there. I had this rope on there. I had, if your
Mhm.
vehicle burns down, not all of that stuff's going to be recognizable, and
Yeah.
your
So
insurance may not cover that.
speaking of insurance, that's another thing to do is to call your insurance company or email them or however you communicate with them and say, hey, got a situation heading our way. I just need to make sure we're covered, because sometimes fire damage isn't wildfire damage. You got to make sure you're covered for whatever the event is. So wildfire is different than a house fire. Flood is different than a flood. Sometimes you're covered for if a pipe breaks in your house. Sometimes you're covered if you're in a flood prone area. There are two different types of floods, and insurance companies are jerks. They want your money and they don't want to give any of it back to you.
Yeah, and like a vehicle, you have to check into what's covered with
Hmm.
your vehicle. Um, Aftermarket stuff may not be covered if you can't prove that you have it on there.
Yep. Um, so I mentioned earlier that I was kind of watching the weather. Um, I downloaded a couple apps on my phone to keep track of what was happening, and the first one was a weather app, and it was showing all the wildfires in the area, and it was also showing which direction the wind was blowing, and it was called My Radar, and it's both for Android and Apple. It's got different layers you can drop on it, kind of like Gaia, where you can drop a topo layer and drop a satellite imagery layer. It's got different layers you can drop, so it's kind of cool. And then the other app that I downloaded and relied on heavily was a police and fire scanner radio app called Scanner Radio. That was for Android. I know they have the exact same one for Apple. I can't remember what it's called. It has a few more words in the name. It's like police and fire scanner rather than just scanner radio.
So we use one. It's called Pulse Point, and what it does is it will show you dispatches around the area. Not so much radio traffic, but it'll tell you fire. If there's a robbery in this area and they're dispatching
Mm.
for a robbery, that one's been really handy for us here looking at the hill and such. Oh, there's another fire here. There's another fire here. Because at one point I live on a stretch, like our main road out here is 410, and we have one side of 410, there's a fire, and then towards Enumclaw, there was another fire. So I was surrounded by fire essentially, with
Mhm.
two ways out on the sides to get out of town. I
So
couldn't go east.
with the scanner, you could actually listen to the live talking of the different people who were on those channels, whether it was the dispatcher or the chief in the field, or even just the firefighter guy fighting at the line. Um, I listened to that Tuesday all day. Um, I probably had it playing for 14 hours that day, and by the time I went to bed, I was so stressed out listening to all the stuff that those people have to deal with. And obviously, it's not just one person dealing with all of it, but it just gives you a really good account of what's happening. You just have to find the right channel for your area. You basically just type in your area or your county, and it'll give you different options for that.
I
Um,
used
and
it's
then
not.
Go ahead.
There's another thing you can do if you sign up, and I was trying to find on my phone here, but like I signed up to get emails from my county fire station and
Yep.
sheriffs. So when they do an evacuation, that gets emailed, and then they give me like 3 updates a day on what the fire is doing, like official kind of press relief, which is it's very comforting to kind of be able to follow along. Like they'll just say what's happening and what's going on. And even now that it's kind of over, they're still just kind of giving you updates. Probably 2 emails a day I get from the sheriffs. And another thing I wanted to point out to watch for, which the sheriff should probably kind of do the evacuations this way, but when you listen and look where the evacuations are, they may not evacuate you, but for you to get out, you may have to drive through the level 3 evacuated area. So not, like my in-laws actually, before they got evacuated, they level 3, but they had, for them to get out, they had to drive through the level 3 area. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely knowing what roads are closed and open is very helpful.
One last place I was getting my information from was from different Facebook pages for the rural fire stations in my area, and that's where I was getting really good detailed information about the fire and what it was doing and how far it was spreading and how big it was getting and yada yada yada. So that's just one more place to get info. And yeah, Coy just mentioned about your evacuation routes. That's the next bullet point on here, is that other people may have evacuated before you, or you might not be able to. You might only have one way out. There was a fire out at the coast in Lincoln City, and there was only one way out of that area. You had to go over the mountains. You couldn't go north or south on 101. You had to go over the mountains to head towards the east. So you got to know which way you can and can't go. Pretty important. We got a picture here. We're going to put it in the show notes. I don't want to read all these things, but it's a list of emergency evacuation things to gather, and it has 4 categories. It says 15-minute warning, 30-minute warning, 1 hour warning, and 2 hour warning. I don't really totally agree with the layout of these things. Because like it says, for a 2 hour warning, you pack up your photo albums, your home videos, and things like that. But the 30-minute warning, it mentions like, where did I see that? Pet food, dishes, bedding, and litter. I'm sure you could just grab some pet food and run. You don't have to get all their bedding and all those things. It just feels like maybe you'd be grabbing your photo album before you're grabbing your pet's food. I don't know.
I was going to say your pet.
Yeah.
So from the time I've spent in the local shelters here that they're doing right now, I wouldn't grab anything for your animal but like a leash. I mean, that people are almost more concerned about your animals than they are actually you. I mean, that sounds horrible, but like and these evacuation sites, like they have warehouses there. The donations are just coming in like it looks like a Costco inside of these donation centers. Like be prepared as much as you can, but dog food, there'll be food for your animal if you're going to an evacuation site. I mean, it's impressive.
Just to throw us off track and some humor in all this is I brought my dog with me while I was doing that SAR mission, and I was sitting there with a local officer and a few guys from SAR, including Rick, and while we were watching the trees catch fire. And there's Rick in the comments, "Hey Ben, don't forget your dog." I had actually started to drive off and left my dog behind me, and she starts running after me, and I hear Rick over the radio, "Hey Ben, your dog."
Wow. Yeah, I'm with Rick. That's not funny, man.
Oh, it is, but it is not. I felt so bad for her. She's
not cool.
She's laying down. She's all black. You can't see her, and so you kind of forget about her because she's so quiet and good. And it's like, okay, we need to head out. So I hop in the car and start driving. I'm like, something's missing. Oh, Ben, your dog. So yeah.
Good thing you don't have a kid that's real quiet and good.
No, not my kids. They're quite good.
Nope, not at all.
Something in my pre-plan that I did, I had more vehicles here than I could really take away, and some of them were work vehicles. And because of where I live, there are some large plowed fields clear by. So I opened some gates, and I was ready to pull like my tractor and some of my things that I could take into the middle of this. And it was probably 300-acre plowed field. So that was one of the things I did. Which there's no guarantee that your X third car or whatever is going to make it in the middle of that plowed field, but it's a better chance than next to the cedar shake house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of something. The day that we got the news that there was a fire inbound, the first thing I did on my way home from work was fuel up, which is the first bullet point of our next topic here. But at the gas station, I just happened to run into my neighbor, and I only have one neighbor out here. I ran into my neighbor. They're doing the same thing. They're filling up their big diesel truck. And I said, what do you guys do? And I told him what we were doing. And he's like, just so you know, we're not leaving. We're standing. We're fighting. We're not going to let it take our house. We're hooking up our biggest tractor to a disc, and we're just going to disc everything. And if you need us to, we'll disc right through your fence, and we'll disc all around your house also. We're not going to let them burn our house down. So it was nice to hear that a neighbor had our back. And like Coy, this is what reminded me. Coy's talking about parking in a field. Where I'm at, there's lots of farmland, so there might be a fast-moving grass fire, but if you can disc it and cause a fire break, it probably will save a lot of structure stuff. We don't live very forested down here.
Yeah, there was a YouTube video of something like that. A farmer disking through a field, saving property. He was going through his field, and he was just making a fire line, and saving stuff.
I will point out on the people that are, always, I'm going to stay, I run the sprinklers on my house and all that. You very well may save your house and it'll be fine because you did all that stuff. When the air gets to like 170 degrees, it burns your lungs. So you can save your house, but if the air is too hot to breathe, even if you live through it, if you've just burned them a little, they start filling with fluid, you'll die a horrible, horrible death, and nobody's probably going to come get you. So a lot of people do say that whole, I'm going to stay and fight. Just if you're in a farm field, that's a little different. But if there's trees and you think there's enough tinder around your house to create a pocket of really hot air there, you can just as easily die without actually getting burned, like physically.
That's interesting to hear. Yeah, that's good to know.
And actually jump into the fuel up thing. So one of the problems we had in our area was everything on the hill. We had no power, and that meant gas stations could not pump gas. So if you lose power, no way to get gas. Fortunately enough for me, I had 3/4 of tank.
You had gas. Fortunately for Ben, he had gas.
I had gas, plenty of gas. Fortunately enough for me, I had gas. And then when I went to drop my wife and kids off at her parents' house, I fueled back up. But there was nothing in town, and people were like, "I have no gas in my vehicle, and I have no way to fuel up." Whereas, Costco's a mile down the street, I can just go fuel up there. Well, yeah, good luck with that.
That actually happened as someone was leaving Central Oregon. They were camping. They all got evacuated. They ran out of gas in their rig. They were towing a boat also, and they had to ditch their vehicle and their boat, jump in a friend's car to evacuate one of the cities that burned down. I believe that was in Mill City or in Lyons, Oregon. So, yeah.
And part of that is just you need to learn a habit of, if you're in a rural area or something like that. Like my personal vehicle that I normally drive, it's never below a quarter tank at the house. Very rare. So I always have enough to get 70 miles away. Like it just, I feel weird if I get below that, basically.
Rick is in the chats here. I think Rick went and helped out in Ben's area with SAR stuff, and he says that Costco had a generator running, so that's pretty cool. I haven't heard of very many gas stations having backup generators. I don't know how much of a thing that is or isn't. So
that Costco is brand new. Like I want to say it's maybe a year old now.
Yeah, it is very new. Yeah. Well, let's talk about preparing your rig for this. We already mentioned fueling up. How about something like giving it a quick once over? Although you probably are pretty in tune with your rig, but maybe just walk around it real quick. Make sure you don't have a low tire, and um, make sure something's not falling off of it before you try to rely on it.
Yeah, you'd hate to start your evacuation and then throw a belt or something and get stopped because of that.
Or or like your axle breaks because your thing's bent or something. That'd be
Uh,
weird.
I already knew about that.
So when I was going out on the initial SAR call and they were evacuated, the canyon had already been mostly evacuated. I was headed in. There's me and two other cars, and it was a Saturday morning stream coming down the highway on the other side, and the amount of vehicles pulled over with because everybody was grabbing like their boats, their horse trailers, and their campers. I mean, there were tow trucks just running up and down that side getting people, and I mean there was tons of vehicles broken down. And from what
Oh,
I could see, it
wow.
was mostly trailers because a lot of these people, I mean, they just hooked up to whatever their horse trailer loaded up their animals and tried to leave, and who knows how long that horse trailer had been sitting. Bad tires, sun rotted tires. So if you have trailers, that's something you'd want to, you got to. It sucks if you only use it once a year, but you got to kind of keep an eye on your tires and things.
Yeah.
And your bearings.
Yep. I'm gonna go out of order here real quick, and since we're talking about trailers, if you're not evacuating, but you might have to evacuate, you might want to hook up to a trailer if you've got some sort of cargo trailer, utility trailer, camp trailer, and if it's in good working order and you can take it with you, um, get it hooked up and um, have it prepared so that you can shove stuff in it um, and it'll be a good asset for you.
Indeed. We kind of already talked a little bit about this, but you might want to load up some of your valuables or keepsakes and etc. And while you're doing that, I think now would be a great time to do an ad break for Medical Gear Outfitters because you probably want a first aid kit too.
Yeah. Anything that can happen, anything that can happen at your house or while you're camping can happen while you're evacuating. And even more so if someone has been in the thick of something and either either they got hurt somehow trying to evacuate or the smoke is causing them issues. You might have something in your first aid kit for that.
Yeah, like burn gel. I mean, you touch something really hot, you burn your hand. My
Mhm.
son can speak towards that. Having like the burn gel available eased the pain and allowed him to continue through the night.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you could easily trip and fall because you're in a rush. Um, you didn't see the hole your kids dug. There's all kinds of things that might happen where you might want your first aid kit.
Yeah.
So, well, this last one here is something that I did because I was only at a level 1. Is if you've got more than you can haul, start making trips to a safe place. If you have a safe place, so a friend's house, a family member's house, if you've got a storage unit, maybe where you work has a big storage lot where you keep all your heavy equipment or something. You could drop your camp trailer or someplace like that. Um, those kind of things. So if you got more stuff that you want to get out of there, just start making trips and don't be afraid to tell your boss, hey, this is going on. I'm nervous about my house. Can I take the afternoon off or can I leave work right now? If it's legitimate, don't be afraid to ask.
Yep. And I've got a little bit of a story to share. So there's a news story that happened here up recently. One of the fires up north, there's a family camping, and they were in the fire for 20 or for 48 hours. They tried to evacuate with their vehicle. They crashed into a ditch, I believe. Um,
They were driving a Forerunner.
no, I don't know what they.
You're not
but
talking
they
about yourself, right?
no, this
This
is
isn't
me.
a high. Okay.
They had to leave their vehicle, and then they went on foot, and they sheltered in a stream, I think it was, or a river. While this fire was raging, the family found their vehicle. Search and rescue got sent out and found them within 24 hours of that.
Hmm.
But they lost their 1-year-old son. The father had burns over 50% of his body,
Wow.
and the wife had 75%. And
Oof.
the only reason the father had less is because he was huddling over his son. So yeah, I mean, uh, it can happen anywhere when you're camping. So just think of that. Know your evacuation route if you've got to rush out. Um, that's why we're talking about this. Maybe you have to dig a fire break with your shovel. That's why we say, hey, bring a shovel. A bucket full of water could cover yourself with water. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, it's really sad. I
yeah.
hadn't heard about that one. Well, one thing in closing here that I was hearing about on social media was some false evacuation orders. You guys hear anything about that stuff?
We had quite a few of those happen around where we lived.
Yeah, it happened. It happened in my area also.
I no, I've not seen false evacuation orders, but I have seen false arsons. But I've also seen real arsons. We had one in in the same spot where two different people in 2 days tried to start a fire. Well, started a
Hmm.
fire. I actually saw the first one.
Yeah, there were people posing as the sheriff's department, calling houses and telling them that they were under evacuation. And later, the sheriffs found out about it, and they put out a statement saying, "We didn't call anybody. You're not under evacuation. Do not leave unless you have official orders. Here's how you can find official orders." And then, obviously, in social media, we were seeing quite a few accounts of looters going in to where people had been evacuated and stealing their stuff. So, pretty messed up.
See, we had the false evacuations we had were more rumors started on Facebook, and then one person, then like Silverton's being evacuated, and it's on the community pages, and then the sheriff's trying to tell them, no, you're not being evacuated. And so it's people are really willing to believe it, and just one person has to say it, and it just goes like, what does it go like?
Wildfire spreads like wildfire. Yeah, I saw that on social media, and when people there were people in my area right around the street from me that said that, well, we're in a level 2 evacuation. I'm like, I don't think so. That's not been announced for our area, only level 1. And then I saw someone in the Medford area saying that they were at home and that there was a level 3 evacuation for their area. Or no, they were at level 3, but they weren't being evacuated yet. And I'm like, well, there's only 3 levels. So either you are being evacuated at level 3 or you're not at a level 3. So I tried to chat with some people to make sure that the information was legitimate. So
Yeah,
definitely
there's a
important.
lot of another thing. I know we're trying to end here, but I'll throw this out there. Even if you're not in, if you're in a level 2 or a level 1, I noticed there was people that were like, I'm going to load up my horses and I'm going to take them to the shelter that's, you know, for all the people that actually got kicked out of their houses, and they start having problems with people
Yeah.
pre-evacuating kind of with their crap, and it's like, be careful with that. I mean, that's kind of a good idea, but you can kind of be burning somebody that's, just had their house burnt down, and they got away with their 2 horses, and now they get there and there's not room for theirs because
Yeah.
you are trying to get ahead of the ball.
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being ahead of the game, but if if your actions are hurting someone else, you should reconsider that. Yeah. That was something for us. We were trying to decide on what we do with our pigs. We don't have a trailer to put the pigs in. We were going to try to find a trailer. Had a couple different people offer us property to put the pigs on. So, but I don't know. We just got to figure that out when the time came.
Did you
It's
actually come up with a plan for that?
Yeah, we found that we could rent a trailer nearby, and we did confirm 2 local places that we could take the pigs to. And worst case scenario, the pigs are small pigs. They could just stay in the trailer.
See, if I had gotten level 3, I don't have a trailer. I have cows and just a couple, and I don't have a way to move them. And I was just going to cut the fence. That's hot wire. I was just going to. I don't have a way to move. Well,
them.
I
them.
do, but he actually got level 3, and he was moving his. So
yeah, I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I gotta apologize, guys.
Yeah. Well, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Yeah. Well, I guess that's one more thing you could mention is livestock and pets. There was lots of information on social media about different fairgrounds being open. In fact, I was going to go to a gun show this weekend, and the fairgrounds was closed where the gun show was because they were housing people's animals. Jerks, ruined the gun show. How selfish of them!
So inconsiderate,
man. Like, can't we just have guns and cows? What's wrong with that? Make some leather holsters.
Bacon.
Yeah. So yeah, you that's another thing to plan for is if you've got livestock or animals, if you've got a place that you can drop an animal off, that's pretty important to pre-plan ahead on that kind of stuff. So well, I can't think of anything else. You guys got anything else?
Know your burn bans, like
oh my goodness,
what's allowed and what not allowed, because that's how some of these fires have started. It was I'm camping in the woods, and there's several different levels of burn bans. There's some burn bans where you're allowed a recreational pit. There's some burn bans where you're not even allowed to use propane pits. A propane pit doesn't have any sparks or anything, but there's heat, so therefore they're like, no. So just know your levels of burn bans, do your research on the area you're going to be in, and don't be that guy.
Unfortunately, there was lots of that guy, and I've been seeing it over the past week, probably the past 7 days now, where either listening on the scanner app or in the Facebook page that types up most of the stuff from the scanner for the county. There's been so many smoke checks on places, and the fire department shows up and someone's got a burn barrel with 4 feet of flames coming out of the top of their burn barrel in the middle of this madness. And it's absurd that people they're burning their garbage because they're too cheap to pay for garbage. So they burn their trash, which is already terrible for the environment. And they're out there burning they're burning baby diapers out there in the 55-gallon drum in their front yard next to their mobile home. So yeah.
And flash alerts, that's what I was trying to think of earlier. You can sign up for your local county fire department, schools. They're called flash alerts. Google it. That was I just got one, Sheriff's Office Wildfire Efforts Evening Update, and it'll just kind of lay it out. And they're very comforting in this kind of situation.
Did for SAR, did you hand out like any flyers or anything to people that had that information on there?
No, it was pretty sudden where we were at. It happened pretty fast, so there was no.
Yeah, we were
not
given
enough warning.
Numbers you can call. What was it? It was the Red Cross and the local, our county emergency operations center. If you don't have any social media and you want updates, you can call that number and get an update.
I got 2, I'm pretty sure they were SAR people. And they handed a full-size sheet of paper with all the information. I'm scrolling through my photos right now. Oh, it doesn't go back far enough. Shoot, I had too many texts between now and last week. They dropped off a full-size sheet of paper that gave all the details of the different levels, and it said at the top that you're at level 1 right now. Here's the other levels, what they mean. And then it had phone numbers for the different places to get more information, phone numbers or the website to sign up for those alerts and stuff. So that was pretty nice that that they handed that information out.
So where you guys were at, did you get the one over the phone, flash alert, incoming missile thing?
No, I was kind of surprised I never got any of those alerts.
It was weird. I never got any of those. I would be standing next to my wife. She got them all weekend long. So I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, she got all the emergency broadcast stuff, and I got
They
nothing.
don't care
So
about you. So
I-
I got that. I
I
got
think
that
you
when
need
we were
to
driving back from Bend on Monday. Yeah, we were driving back from Bend on Monday, and my wife was in the rig with me, and we were leaving where we were camping, and her phone and my phone did it like within a millisecond of each other, and I was passing someone at that time, and I watched their head go down and their cell phone come up. So I know it happened to the car right next to me as well.
I wonder if it has to do with some setting.
I'm not sure. I went through all the settings on my phone, turned the flash alerts off, turned it back on, restarted it. I never got them. I don't. They don't care about me. I'm gonna blame Apple, honestly.
I'll send you some flash alerts later.
Hey,
Heyo, and on that bombshell.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening